Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are watching from. Welcome, welcome, everybody. We are here with lots of fun travel topics today. And I am excited as well to talk about travel because, well, part of the reason is because I've got actually two trips booked and sorted now. I don't know about you, but I just find it's always nice to have something officially booked as opposed to sort of in the wind. If it's something that you're like loosely planning, but you don't specifically have it booked, then it's kind of like it might happen, it might not. But once it's booked, and especially when it's booked and non-refundable, then I don't know. It's just that wonderful feeling of like, okay, yes, this trip is booked. And I always like to have more than one trip booked because you know what it's like when your trip ends. You go on a cruise or you go to Mexico vacation or something, or go to Europe, wherever, and it's the last day of the trip, and you're thinking, oh, well, got to go home, back to work, the usual, got to cook your own food, got to make your own bed. Like, so unfair. But but it's nice to know, like, oh, okay, countdown to the next trip is starting. So I always like to have a couple of things in the works. So yeah, we've got some interesting topics today, and also want your advice on a couple of things. Oh, took it down. But yeah, lots of fun stuff to talk about today. And I am going to make an effort to not ramble quite as much as I usually do. I think last week was just like 10 words when I could have used one. No, probably more like I used 100 and I could have just used one. So we are working on improving our storytelling techniques this week. So we'll see how that goes. If I start rambling, just I don't know, like just go shh or something in the comments so that I'm like, okay, focus, focus. Anyways, let's go ahead and get started. So, oh, this was a crazy story. Um, with Cancun Airport, with Mexico airports, well, in fairness, with any airport, when you're arriving, when you're flying in, when you're crossing a land border, you are allowed to bring in a certain amount of stuff. And if you're a smoker, you're allowed to bring in a certain number of cigarettes or cigars or, tobacco products. Remember, of course, if you're going to Mexico, vaping is actually illegal, and as is smoking in, well, put it this way, most places now. But vaping, yes. That said, you can find places where you can buy it. So that's not a complete issue. But if you're a drinker and you want to bring a fancy kind of whiskey or scotch or vodka or whatever for your vacation, then again, you're going to want to take a look at the restrictions, because when you exceed your duty-free amounts, that's where you can run into problems. And just to sidebar for a second on that, I want to touch on right now with all the tariffs and stuff like that. If you, at least for Canada, if you're bringing something back, it's my understanding, so double check this, because there's so much fake, like truly, truly fake news out there, that you've got to cross check it and find several sources that confirm. But if you are bringing in, for example, say alcohol, and it would normally have a tariff on it, if it's within your duty-free allowance, it's my understanding that that is exempt. So, just bear that in mind. But where we wanted to go with this is, oh, hey, Angela. Was it Majestic Elegance in May, heading to Dreams Cap Cana? Ooh, preferred villa in December. Always have vacation countdowns. Oh, that is so nice. And Cap Cana is just such a beautiful area. I don't know, have you been to Cap Cana before, or is this going to be your first time? I'm curious. Let me know on that one. Because I do have a couple of tips for you on that, and I'll go over those at the end if you remind me. um, so what happened in this story is a person was bringing in, they were traveling with their kids, and they were their adult children, and the adult children are smokers, and they were bringing in some. They stopped at duty free after they landed, and were buying cigarettes duty-free to use when they were at the resort. And for example, in Cancun, they've been to varying degrees heavy in terms of their restrictions. And, so there was a thing last year where if you brought a laptop and an iPad, those were considered to be two computing devices, and you would get taxed on one of those items. Now they've since what would you call that? Sort of softened on that, but it's kind of crazy. But you know what? Any customs officer, when they're checking your stuff, can be like, having a day or just a moment and decide you're the random person they want to check. And if you're over your limits, you're over your limits. What's interesting though is in this scenario, the adult kids had each individually purchased 2 cartons of cigarettes, but they thought that they were allowed 2 cartons. It turns out they were only each individually allowed 1 carton, and the woman happened to be carrying it all. And so the customs-based officer basically pulled her aside and assumed that she had not 1, not 2, which she had purchased incorrectly, but that she had 4 in her possession. And she tried to discuss this with them and argue it and contest it and all this. Redundant. And they were not having any of it. So she had to pay over $600, obviously US, as penalty. What's interesting for example, I think in Canada, in Australia, I mean, just from watching the show years gone by of border security, yeah, where you would see people exceeding their duty limits. They would allow you to withdraw your sort of application to bring it into the country. Now, this is, of course, if you declare it. If you don't declare it, you're kind of stuffed. But what happened is they said, okay, well, we won't take them. But apparently you can't do that. And I don't fully understand the rules on this or why it happens or how it happens. But interesting to know that if you exceed your allowance, you cannot simply say, okay, take it back, I don't want it. Then that puts you in a whole different scenario. So if you're going to bring like cigarettes or alcohol into Mexico, just double check the rules and know what your limits are, and each individual must carry them separately. So if you're traveling with your spouse, don't be carrying each other's stuff because that's where you're going to have a problem. Angelo, what's a vacation? Ha, ha, ha. You got a trip coming up fairly soon. I forget exactly when you're going, but I know you're going away soon. So you hush up on your what's a vacation. Angela, first time to Cap Cana, 15th time to Dominican. Wow, very nice. Cap Cana is just amazing. The beach, you can't walk, super, super far, but you can walk from the neighboring resort where you're at, which is the, let's do this. Random topic. So I'm talking about Cap Cana here. You can walk from the, I can't even think of the name. The resort right beside it, which is, Sanctuary Cap Cana. You can walk from sort of there all the way down to Secrets Cap Cana is the last one. And it's interesting. You should walk along the beach because the palm trees there, they kind of, if this is the beach and this is the ocean, the palm trees kind of sway out like this. So it's very picturesque. It's very nice. So take your camera, make sure it's charged, take lots of photos. It's truly, truly beautiful. And the other thing is, if you want to buy any alcohol to take home and you don't mind putting it in your suitcase, or if you run out of like suntan lotion or bug spray or anything like that, take the tour. There's a blue bus tour, inquire about that. A bus that goes to the Blue Mall. and that's a free service that they will take you in the Dominican. If you're in that 𝘵𝘵𝘚 region, especially, it's like 10-15 minutes away from the 𝘵𝘵𝘚 area, so it's super close. And there's a mall, and the mall, one of the lamest malls I have seen, but they do have some high-end stuff. Like, they got Abercrombie and Fitch, and I can't even think of the brands, but some other high-end stuff. Pandora as well. But across from the parking lot from that is a grocery store, and that is where you can buy very reasonably priced, sundries. If you run out of, if you forget a razor, if you need uh, ear cleaner, whatever those things are called, or if you need suntan lotion or bug spray, or you want to buy alcohol, they've got a whole rack of Dominican rum as well as other kinds of alcohol, and it's very reasonably priced. So just make sure you pack a shopping bag to take with you. More comments. Angela said, Cincinnati, Ohio used to get so harassed when bringing back bottles of liquor coming home. Oh, basically stop buying bottles, even doing a checked bag. Interesting. Yeah, it really is. In fact, the photo that I have on my on the top of my YouTube channel page actually has a picture that I do. I often will do photo shoots when I'm at resorts, and it's just nice to usually the photos cost like $25 each. The photographer's time is free, and if you want a new headshot, you can do it with a proper, like, professional background. So if guys are gonna have nice dress shirts for dinner, usually, women, all you need is a nice dress or something with a nice collar on it. Do your jewelry, do your hair, do the photo shoot. Seriously, if you need a professional headshot for $25 at a resort in Mexico, Dominican, wherever, you can't go wrong. And they'll even Photoshop it for you. But yeah, for $25, you cannot go wrong. So I'm going to add that to the tech tips as well, because it's sort of technical. Tammy said we did an awesome tour, rum factory, cigar making from 𝘵𝘵𝘚. I don't think I've done that in the Dominican. I've done it in Havana, in Cuba, before. But yeah, that's, especially if you're from Cincinnati, the Dominican option for that would be the route to go. So yeah, maybe check that out too. Always good to know that there's some interesting tours available. But yeah, so going back to our topics here, for cigarettes, yeah, you definitely want to check that, because it worked out to, and fun fact, if you are a smoker and you have a pack of cigarettes on you and you then purchase a carton, if they're going to be pedantic about it, if they're going to like hammer you on the nth degree of the rules, technically you would be exceeding your import allowance, because you're allowed one carton, which is like 200 cigarettes. So if you've got 5 in your purse or your pocket or whatever that you haven't smoked yet from before you arrive, just saying, could be a problem. I mean, these are all things like, if you ask this question on any kind of travel group, you'd have 100 people who would say, well, that never happened to me. I always take them in. I've never had an issue, blah, 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 blah. That's fine. 90% of the time, 95% of the time, it's probably not going to be an issue. It's when they decide that they're going to crack down on it, and maybe they need to increase their customs revenues, whatever the reason, why you got to be that person. Like, oh, I mean, it's fine if you just acknowledge it. And that's what this woman did in this situation. She said, well, hey, you know what? I made the mistake. I didn't know the limitations of what was allowed to bring in. Yeah. So, she sucked it up, and it is what it is. You throw some money at the problem and you move on. Anyways, let's move on. The Air Canada strike, my goodness. So the flight attendants were offered a wage increase. They were offered ground pay. So we discussed this the last few weeks in a row, actually, where currently they arrive at work, they show up, they get on board the plane, and they do the boarding process, help you, assist you with your luggage, all that kind of stuff, or watch you put your luggage away. And then they close the doors, and that is when they start getting paid. So that was one of their issues, because why, like, for most other people out there, they would argue that if they have to be at work, if they are required as a term of employment to be at work and to be there unpaid, doing their job, one would kind of, you could understand the frustration at being there and doing it for free. The airlines have long argued that their overall compensation is structured to calculate for that. But to the general public, and that's part of the reason why they're saying unpaid wages are unfair, kind of thing. You can understand where they're coming from. But then you hear the other side of it, which is, they're saying, well, they offered them supposedly a 38% increase. Now that is, as I said last week, that's total targeted compensation. So it includes things like pension improvements or, healthcare benefits or, any change to vacation time, that kind of thing. Anyways, they came up with this agreement. It went to vote starting this morning, and as of, I think it's September 6th is when the vote closes, and at that time they'll decide, either the union will vote yes to ratify the contract, say, yep, we agree to it, or they'll vote no, and it's back to the drawing board. Then they'll go back to binding arbitration. So September 6th is the key date on that. At that point, within a day or so, we should know what the vote is. But, again, if you've got trips coming up, flying into Canada, flying out of Canada, flying within Canada, if you're doing anything with Air Canada, you could be affected. Now, the government stepped in and said that the vote was illegal. And the union said, we don't care. Like, basically, screw you, we're doing this anyways. So will it happen again? Don't know. Passengers who were affected, that was also a thing, because there were some instances where people tried to get rebooked on alternate flights. I mean, some people were just trying to get home to get to work. They were trying to go on vacation. They had non-refundable hotels booked, non-refundable transfers booked, tours, that kind of thing. And in some instances, they either weren't able to get a hold of the airline to rebook, or the airline said, we can't find any flights, even though people were able to again, this is all media. I can't blame the media, because look, when I do a YouTube video, if I can come up with a really catchy title, I'm going to use it, because it means that more people are going to watch the video. So it's the way the game works. It is what it is. But unfortunately, I have friends telling me, oh no, they were, all the airlines jacked up their prices, like the other airlines. And, a flight that was $100 that day, all of a sudden was $700. Well, supply and demand. It wasn't like they had, well, on one hand, was it nefarious? Did they outright decide, hey, these guys are on strike, so we're going to raise our prices by 30% and take advantage of that? And as a business, you'd be stupid not to, other than, you got to do right to your customers. Or was it simply supply and demand? You got a 737 holding, say, 180 people, depending on the seat pitch and all that kind of stuff. So let's say 180 people who were meant to be on this flight. And instead, none of them are leaving. And all 180 of them want to go somewhere. Well, you might have, for example, I mean, look, there's not that many airlines in Canada. So WestJet, Porter, You know, or if you're flying into the US, perhaps you could look at, you know, Delta or American or United, or not American, United, but you know what I'm saying? Alaska Airlines, that kind of thing. Same for Europe or other destinations. That does 180 people. And it's not like all of the other flights going to that specific destination that day were empty. So again, supply and demand. So long and the short of this story is if you've got flights coming up, could be an issue. Also, fun fact, not really, is flight attendants on WestJet Airlines, their contract expires at the end of 2025. So will we see more Christmas job action? Don't know, as they go into negotiations. Who knows? I'm going to check for, I was going to do it for next week. I'll do it for after the cruise, because next week, Wednesday, that's right. Okay, we'll do this again, off topic. So sorry, I will do a list up and try to find out what I can about upcoming negotiations for contracts for the major airlines, just so you can be aware if you've booked with them and when those contracts might be up for negotiations. It doesn't really have a ton of relativity to your travel dates because they're not going to have the contract end and then go on strike immediately. They're going to have the contract end and they're going to go into negotiations. And that is a process. So it could be 3 months, 6 months down the road, where if they're at a logjam, that's when it's a problem. Anyways, so next week, Tammy and I are going to be on the cruise. So next week, it's going to be 11 a.m. that we are taking you to on board the ship, on board the Holland America Zaandam. And sorry, I'm pointing at you. But we're going to be taking you on board, hopefully. So 11 a.m. next week. So normally we have 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. British, UK time. And so next week it's going to be 1 hour later. So so we'll start at 11 a.m. West Coast time, 2 p.m. East Coast time, and 7 p.m. British time. So but we're going to try to take you on board to show you around the ship. So if you have any questions at all about Holland America or about their alcohol on board the ship, that kind of thing, or what the pools look like, any of that, we're going to take you around. So be sure to tune in for that. After this, I will do up the show promo so that everybody knows we're going to go live from there. And it hopefully should be good Wi-Fi because we'll be hooked into, I'll either go on board and we'll test it with the ship Wi-Fi, or I'll just go on data. So so we'll go that way. And as Tam said, hopefully we're on board by then. We're planning to head over to the ship at 10, because 10 is usually when the last passengers must get off the ship from the previous cruise. So we're hoping to get on shortly after that. So we'll be there, and I'm traveling with Tammy, who's always lucky when it comes to getting on the cruise ships. So hopefully we'll be there by there and on board by 11. So 11-ish. I'm going to go live, once we're on the ship, or once we're at least through security and customs and all that, because I don't see that going well if I'm filming live. So stay tuned for that. So that'll be next week. So exciting stuff. Oops. Right. Okay. Get rid of that. And now... and we move on. No early check-in. This one, let me know what you think of this. So all of us in the travel industry, all the travel agents, got a message, an update about some of the uh, inclusive collection by Hyatt Properties. So, Dreams, Secrets, Hyatt Ziva Zolaris, that kind of thing, the ones that are managed by Hyatt. It's just telling us about, some renovations that are coming up in Punta Cana for different properties and stuff like that. And certain things will be closed and other things will be substituted in the meantime. All good. Great. And then they also talked about the Secrets Bahia Mita and Dreams Bahia Mita, which, if you're not familiar, it is a co-located resort. So we have one side is Secrets, the other side is Dreams. And that particular property has just announced that effective immediately, check-in time is 3 p.m. And that's pretty standard, and that's always been the case at this particular property. However, in the past, and with certainly every other all-inclusive resort that I've been to, with the exception of hotels that offer an EP plan. We'll talk about that in a second. But every all-inclusive I've been to before, if you arrive before 3 p.m., you can do your check-in and you can go and have a drink, go and have some lunch, go and use the pool, no problem. But as of Tuesday or Monday, when they sent that email out, effective immediately, if you're going to Secrets Bahia Mita or Dreams Bahia Mita, if you arrive before 3 p.m., you cannot check in unless you pay 500 pesos per person, which works out to about $37 Canadian, which I want to say is like, of course, I changed the currency on this, using my calculator to do the currency conversion. So 37, so it's 27, about 27 US. So it's not, critical, but again, if you're traveling with a family, that's going to start to add up. So if you have an early flight from, I don't know, say Dallas or somewhere in the southern United States where it might be easier to get an early flight so you can get an earlier arrival. Now, granted, Bahia Mita, this whole area is, I don't know, what would you say, Tammy, like 90 minutes and maybe 2 hours north of Punta Cana Airport. So, factoring in that travel time. But if you arrive at 2 o'clock or 1 o'clock or even noon because your flight is so early, then if you want to check into the hotel and not just be sitting in the lobby, you're going to have to pay. So again, something to factor in. I would presume that anybody who's booked here is being notified about this through their reservation system. But what do you think? I mean, like I said, so when I gave the example, I said that, all proper all-inclusive resorts have always allowed people to go early. If you're staying at a hotel that offers EP as well. So for example, the Paradise Village complex in Puerto Vallarta, if you're staying there, you have the choice of booking the all-inclusive package or EP, European plan, which means food and beverage is not included. In that scenario, if you arrive early or you stay past, for example, if checkout is at noon and you stay till 3, 4, 5 o'clock, then that's it. You would have to pay for any drinks or any food that you eat. So that's a very different scenario. Also, I should say that the Sunset Plaza in also maybe it's Puerto Vallarta thing. Sunset Plaza in Puerto Vallarta, if you stay there, I recall that I think we had to check out at noon, and they allowed us to keep having free food and drinks until 1 p.m. I think it was. Maybe it was 2 p.m. I want to say 1 p.m. And then after that, you could have more, but you had to pay. And I think that was partly because they sort of did have a program. Maybe it was, yeah, I think because a lot of the people who stay there are timeshare. And so they would just do the EP program and then they would eat off site. I mean, there's so many amazing places in Puerto Vallarta, and where the Sunset Plaza Resort is located is in the hotel zone. So there's tons and tons of stuff around you. Paradise Village, not so much. Like there's a couple of all-inclusive resorts. There's a little mall that's got a couple of shops and restaurants, but not tons. So yeah, let me know what you think of this. Okay, so Tammy's saying she thinks about 60 to 90 minutes from Puerto Vallarta. So yeah. Oh, and also good point. There's literally nothing around there. So it's not like, oh, okay, well, we've rented a car, or we've got a shuttle, so we'll drop us off here at this restaurant and we'll pay for lunch because, why not? Although when you convert that, like I said, it's about with exchange rate about 37 Canadian or 27, I think I said, American. So are you going to spend more than that on food and drinks, alcoholic or non-alcoholic, if you go for lunch somewhere else? So really, everybody's probably going to be paying this. Probably not going to be happy to be paying this, but probably going to pay this. Oh, right. Yes. Yeah, but you're the guy, right? Like you probably will have them all like email them and let them know ahead of time that you're arriving, and they'll like roll out the red carpet for you. So you're probably not going to have a problem. They'll probably say, Angelo, it's 9 a.m. Where are you? Why aren't you here yet? So yeah, membership has its privileges, that's for sure. Okay, so no notice was sent to him. Very interesting. So we'll have to see what comes of that. Yeah, who knows? Tammy's saying we recommended you. Yes, right over the Sunscape. That's right. What if they'll advise you ahead of time of this change? I would think they would be obligated. Well, I know they're obligated to tell us if there's any updates or renovations or portions of the hotel that are going to be closed. I know that was that's part of TICO. I don't know how that works with the US travel regulations, but again, I would think that they would be legally required to note that. Now, Angelo, is that your first hotel of the trip? Or I thought you said you were going there first, and then you're going to try to go to Breathless if it's open by then. And I forget where else you said you were staying. So Christine said, yeah, she wouldn't go because of that new rule, purposely staying near the Cancun airport the night before we check into Vivid, so that we can enjoy the resort in the morning. Yeah, because you did that last time. I think you stayed at the one of the airport hotels to get to your resort right away. I think that was when you were staying at the one across the street from me, across the street from the Vivid when I was there, because we were both there at the same time. And I know that her and I think you were traveling with your cousin, and that you were trying to get to the hotel as early as you could just to take advantage of it. So yeah, that's going to be a bit of a game changer for people if they have this restriction in place. And also, like for us Canadians, we always have late flights departing. So if our flight's not until 5, 6, 7 o'clock and checkouts at noon, it's a no-brainer. It's just gonna be an added cost that you have to factor into your trip. You just start to send you emails to see what time you're arriving and if any preference for the room or if you're celebrating anything. So that's 30 days ahead of time. Okay, right. Secrets Bahia Mita and Secrets Vallarta. Word of advice on that one for Secrets Vallarta, if you're staying there, if they ask if you want to upgrade to Preferred Club, of course, it's nice to have access to the Preferred Club lounge, but the Preferred Club rooms are closer to the main building. Yes. I believe, yeah, I want to say no, that shouldn't be. It should be the ones closer to the front. Yeah, so actually it's worth it to upgrade to the front because the rooms have a better view, but also you're farther away from there was at least an empty lot in sort of behind the Secrets Vallarta that forever is where the buses would always park. So from like 6 a.m. you'd hear beep, beep, beep as they're reversing out of the parking lot. And also wild roosters. I don't know if they're wild, but they're there and cock-a-doodle-doo first thing in the morning. Reminds me of Rarotonga. Roosters everywhere in Rarotonga in the South Pacific. Who would have known? Who would have thought? So anyways, yeah, worth it to upgrade to preferred club at that one. Christine's saying we stayed at Hilton last time we went to Vivid. This time we're staying at the Fairfield. Okay. Yeah, I mean, they're solid properties, and it's not a Four Seasons or anything, but they do the job. So absolutely. As long as, so here's the question now. If this is what that property is doing, and there was, like I say, a lot of other properties listed in that email. I mean, they talked about what was it? Secrets Royal Beach, Dreams Royal Beach, Dreams Onyx, Breathless Punta Cana, so Sunscape Coco, and then but this was the only one where it specifically said that was the change to the check-in time. So what do you think that the rest of them are going to follow, or do you think that they're going to implement this and it's going to be like social media is going to blow up on this? I mean, like Christine's already said, for that reason she wouldn't book that resort. So I mean, I kind of get it, because if you're booking accordingly so that you can get there first thing during the day, and then you want to stay in the when you leave as long as you can, then that is perhaps outside of their revenue model. I get that. But like for us Canadians, usually we're booking a round trip flight. So, and usually those flights are doing a turnaround. So it's the same crew. They're not getting a layover in beautiful Mexico or sunny Mexico and relaxing. They are going, they don't finish their shift. They just keep plugging through, pushing through. And so if our flight is departing at 6 p.m., it's usually landing at 4 p.m., give or take. Sometimes it's just an hour different. If it leaves at 6 p.m., they are coming in and landing at 5 p.m., which gives them like basically half an hour to deplane and half an hour to load up and get off the ground. So for us, we might get there late and then leave late. So yes, we're arriving because then what? So you arrive at 6 p.m. Do you get a discount because you didn't take advantage of your first full 24 hours? I don't know. Okay. Angela said he see the message about Secrets Royal Beach. Louise is going, you have a really good memory. Like, I try to write some of this stuff down, but I just don't remember. So Secrets Royal Beach, the situation on that was, that they're doing renovations. But they're updating the convention center. Not really an impact. That's September 15th through November 15th. Also, the Coco Cafe is going to be served at the Rendezvous Lobby Bar. And then they're also doing enhancements at Dreams Royal Beach, and basically saying, specific hours for construction. So they're doing everything they can to make sure that the guests aren't affected by it. So hopefully Louise is okay. And then Christine said, I feel like it's going to backfire on them. Yeah. And you know what? Sometimes the resorts just don't know. I mean, I remember one of my sales reps calling me up, or my business development managers calling me up. The BDM knew that I was booking just back-to-back like destination weddings. Tammy, what would you say, 30, 40? Sorry, that's a joke. It might have been. No, I think the most I did one year was like close to 20, and that was a lot. But I would help people a lot of times with their whole destination wedding planning. And so the BDM called me up and said, "Hey, we're thinking about at this property, we've got this prime wedding gazebo that everybody always wants to use. Well, what if we started charging for this? Like, we're thinking this is a revenue opportunity, charge, $500 or $1,000 to use that particular location." It's just a gazebo, folks. It's not like it was closing a restaurant, closing a pool area to have the wedding, which some people will do at certain resorts. They'll book out a wedding at one of the restaurants. And the resort usually charges for this because it's diminishing the all-inclusive experience for all the other guests. I mean, imagine if they've got, if they might only have one wedding a day. But for example, if we think about like a resort like Dreams Bahia Mita has a Mexican restaurant, it's overlooking the beach and the ocean, and it's got this, we call it a love tree, which it's not a love tree, it's just a tree in the middle, the center of the restaurant, and it's got these glass hearts, like blown glass hearts. Beautiful, very romantic. And the decor in there is, authentic Mexico. It's got that whole like authentic feel to it. And lots of people wanted to use this for their wedding. So they would have the wedding ceremony either there or somewhere else, but they would want to use it for reception, more importantly. Then if they have a wedding every day and every day of the week, somebody has booked out the Mexican restaurant for their reception, and you go there for a vacation, you, Christine, and your cousin go there for vacation, and you book for 5 nights, and each of those 5 nights, that restaurant is closed for a private reception, you're not getting the full vacation experience. So, anyways, that's why they charge extra for this. And they usually also do restrict the amount of times it could be used. But where I'm going with this is sometimes the resorts are a little bit out of touch with where they can and cannot increase the revenues. So yeah, I agree with you, Christine. I really agree. I think this is gonna come back to bite them. And I don't know what the rationale is for it. I don't know if people were abusing it or what, but I mean, we pay good money to go to these places. So maybe somebody came up with an idea and said, "Hey, we could be making more money. We're missing out on a revenue opportunity here." And they decided to throw this out there and test the waters and see how it goes. So we shall see. Okay, also exciting news. Secrets Mirabel, moving on. I've booked, so super excited to be going November, first week in November, going from the 3rd to the 9th. And I'm trying to decide what room category to book. Of course, I am going to go preferred club because that will then, at that particular resort, gives access for preferred club guests only, have access to one of the restaurants for a la carte lunch, as well as the preferred club pool, which is the glass infinity pool at the front of the resort, which is a new add-on to this property, as well as the rooftop lounge, pool, and bar, which is also a change to this property. But what would you guys choose if the price is the same, whether it's preferred club oceanfront, meaning it's like right at the front of the resort, so sort of beachfront, most amazing views. Price is the same for that. The oceanfront plunge pool room, which means to say you're going to have a terrace or balcony with a large sort of bed, an outdoor deck bed, as well as a pool. And by pool, I mean it's sort of like maybe slightly larger than a hot tub. Or the third category, which is also the same price, is the swim out. Swim out, which will be on the same floor as the preferred club pool. So as Tammy suggested, it will have good access to bar service. As well, you could be in your pool and lounging and being cool there and having your own drink service, because they'll almost always provide drink service to rooms, to the swim up rooms. And you have a little bit more privacy. So I don't know. Which would you pick? Let's go vote. If you say oceanfront, just want oceanfront because you want your own private balcony. You can have the curtains open. Nobody can see in. OF for oceanfront. PP, if you think plunge pool, you want your own private balcony space with your own small pool area, or SO, swim out, if you vote swim out for that. But the only thing with the swim out, of course, is you're gonna have people walking by. Usually with the secrets resorts, they don't necessarily have separate pools, meaning like barricades between the different rooms. So you're not necessarily gonna have, like, all the privacy, and you might be able to have your curtains open during the day, but certainly probably wouldn't have them open, especially, in the evening when you're getting changed for dinner, that kind of thing, because people will be able to see directly into your room. I don't know. Cast your vote. OF for oceanfront, which no plunge pool, no swim out access, but still access to all the other preferred club areas. Would you go plunge pool, or would you go swim up? Or fourth option is, would you just go basic, like a basic room, not preferred club, don't care about the rest of the amenities and stuff, basic, just type B if you choose B. I'm curious. Very curious what you would pick. Okay, Christine says, I wish they had an online calendar so we would know when there are weddings and or conventions, so we'd know if the venues and restaurants will be booked. They did. I used to use that religiously on the Dreams site. I'm going to take 2 seconds to see here. Secrets Mirabel, because I'm checking that just about every day, looking at prices and stuff. Oh, by the way, if you are so inclined and you're curious to find out more about Secrets Mirabel, I have started a Facebook group for that, and it is called Secrets Mirabel Cancun fans. So if you're interested and you want to see some like photos and stuff like that, stuff that hasn't necessarily gone up on the webpage yet, pop into Facebook and join the group. I want to see here events, weddings. Let me see here, because for sure, like I used to book a lot of weddings at Dreams Aventuras, because I really like the resort. Zero curb appeal. It looks not great, but the service was great. The rooms were spacious, and it was just like, it's in a gated community in southern Mayan Riviera. So it was, loved it. Wedding package. I want to see if there's a calendar on here. Oh, you know what? Because now it's under Hyatt. Maybe it's changed, because they used to have a calendar and you could see if there was availability for weddings, because a lot of people would say to me, okay, we've picked the resort, this is the one we want. Then I got to go and look to see if there's already weddings on the day that they want to get married, and also if they're doing symbolic ceremony versus legal. If they want to do legal, then that throws another wrench into when they can get married, because sometimes it would be like the day that the second last day that they were leaving, kind of thing. I don't see a calendar on here at all. Yeah, shame. I think, like I said, they changed it when they went over to Hyatt now. And even when you say to sign up, you're just signing up for more information. So no, sorry, Christine. They used to have it, but now they don't. Howard is saying best wedding at a resort I saw was a budget place called Allegro. Okay. It was a Mexican wedding, and they had a ball. Beatty was standing on the bar. Nice. Oh, the bride was standing on the bar. Very nice. Yeah, that sounds like a hoot. Okay, so Tammy's saying swim out. Christine, yeah, already mentioned that one. Howard says they were holding her train up and they had the Congo line going under it, getting tequila shots poured in their mouths. Oh, that sounds fun. Fun. Oh, okay. So Christine would go swim out. Tammy would go swim out. Howard is saying oceanfront. Angela's saying swim out. Wow, look at you guys go. Pretty aligned on that one. So I'm thinking, okay, so I'm assuming we're sharing this, Tammy. Are we sharing? Say yes or no. You know what I'm asking about sharing. Howard is saying, I mean, info sharing. So let me know on that. Howard is saying, I like Portaventura is great for walking and getting a golf cart. Yeah, 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 exactly. And that's why one of the reasons we love that area. It's a gated community. And so, you feels very comfortable in there and you can walk to all these different restaurants and the marina's got shops and well, I think it still has their dolphinarium, although they are getting rid of them. But it's just such a nice little community area, very, very comfortable and very, very. I just felt comfortable, cozy. Okay, she said yes. Okay, so fun fact: we are both going to be at Secrets for the first part of my stay. And so we're trying to debate what room categories to book. So, of course, you saw, she's all in on the swim outs. And I'm leaning more towards Plunge Pool. I like the privacy. I don't want to have people necessarily walking by and being able to see in. Although, as Tammy said, swim out, better accessibility to the larger pool if the little swim out gets too hot, and also drink service. So perhaps more social. Also, I said, okay, well, so if she's going to book the swim out, then I'll book the plunge pool. That means I can for sure get 2 videos for you guys to show you exactly what the layout looks like and all the details that I normally show you. But also then we can go and hang out at her swim out pool, or if we've had too much sun, then we can all go up to my room and enjoy the plunge pool. So what do you think? I think that's just the perfect plan. And nice. It's always nice when you're traveling with a friend to have side by side rooms. Um, but this is a new resort, so I'm thinking having the access to 2 types of rooms would be the smarter move to go. Anyways, just my thoughts. Okay. Moving on. Okay, just a quick aside, another one I want your advice on. Oops, go back. There we go. Comments. Yeah, trying to remember where everything's going. Share away. Yeah. Yeah, so it'd be fun to share that information with to show you the different rooms and stuff like that. Okay, so I was watching a video last week and found access to a music site where I would be able to use real music in my videos. So quick question for all of you, yes or no? Yes or no? Do you think it would make a difference when watching a video where I'm blabbing on about a resort, but I will sometimes do B-roll where I'll cut away and I'll show you some of the views, some of the pool areas, that kind of thing. When I'm playing this B-roll stuff and I'm just showing you what things look like, do you think it makes a difference? Do you think in general people are when they're watching videos, they'd be more inclined to continue watching if they hear a song that they recognize versus just, random music that I find on Epidemic Sound or, one of these other sites, or using YouTube library music? What do you think? Do you think it will make a difference? It's a little bit more expensive to access this service, but by comparison to me licensing music for my videos, like real music, like there's an option I could be playing Taylor Swift music, and actually, right? Like, congrats on the engagement and all that, but people either love her or they hate her, kind of seems like. So for some people, if I'm playing Taylor in the background, might that turn you off of the music, or might you be more interested? Okay, so Tammy's saying, oh, the music distracts her. Interesting. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. Would it, or yeah, okay, so 3 questions now. I'm changing it to 3 questions. A, is it better to have recognizable music? B, is it better just to use random music so it's different and unique? Or C, should I just not use the music altogether? Let me know what you think. I mean, I got to have something, so it's either a voiceover or it's going to be some kind of music. But let me know what you think. Personally, I'm leaning towards using recognizable music, recognizable songs. But let me know. I'd like to know what you guys think. Alrighty, tech time. Okay, so for For this week, oh no, I have two. What was the other one? Um, okay. So I think it was last week I talked to you about this webcam for Vancouver and how you can see the port or you can see other areas of Vancouver. I came across this channel that, oh, okay, look at this. Christine's saying okay without music too. So this is okay. So this is why I'm asking you guys the question. I'll put this as well as a question in on my community posts for those people who don't tune in on a Wednesday, don't have time, can't be bothered, whatever. But this is interesting. Tammy and Christine, I'm surprised because I thought that was kind of I mean, that's like everybody talks about how to edit videos and do better videos, that kind of thing. It's always about the music. So um, but this isn't listening to somebody telling me how to do a better video for the purpose of having more people watch their videos on how to edit a video. You guys are the ones who are actually watching the videos about the resorts. So hearing you say no is it's good. That's interesting. Okay, back to this video. It's a compilation of webcams is what I came across. So this channel does, it sort of floats between Florida, like usually the cruise ports, various spots in the Caribbean, Bahamas, Alaska. It even had a webcam for Juneau. And it kind of flips between the different channels. So for example, if you've got a TV in your kitchen and you're busy cooking and you want to have something on in the background, it's kind of cool because it keeps flipping between these different live webcams. The only thing that is a bit annoying with that particular channel is it does flip fairly quickly, fairly rapidly through the different spots. Okay, so you kind of got to watch it. It does say at the top of the screen where the webcam is located that you're watching. So at least you're not going, well, what the heck am I looking at? Also, the other thing that I didn't quite like about it is that sometimes it's got older footage. Like some of it could be as much as 8 hours old, but it's still, it's flipping through and you're getting to see a lot of different places. So it's kind of cool. So that one is called PTZ TV. And then the other tech tip that I have for you real quick is tech tip is that in case you're driving and you've got a GPS in your car, just this past weekend drove up to Vernon in the interior of British Columbia. And we, instead of having it on the regular maps, which would be like Apple Maps, we had it on Google Maps for something different. It has a lot more information. It's a little bit like Waze, except Waze goes the wrong ways in my experience. So Google Maps was cool because it would tell you if there was construction up ahead, if there were a police radar up ahead. There's a couple other things. And it was very informative. So the next time you're driving, Angelo, you are often on the road, and if you already use this, I'm curious. But I found that to be very helpful. I don't have any screenshots of it because a lot of times it'll come up and then you sort of see it and then it disappears. But it was accurate. Like it said there's reports of police radar. Is it still there? That there he is. Okay. Yep. It's still there. So it was really informative. If you're taking a road trip, definitely something to take a look at. And if you're watching this later on, if you're watching this now and you haven't already done so, please go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. And if you're watching this later on, let me know in the comments what you think about that thing, the oceanfront swim up, oceanfront plunge pool swim up or basic, and also what you think about the music. I'm curious now because if a bunch of you say no music, that is just blowing my mind. And that's gonna totally change how I do videos. So let me know. Am I doing this wrong? Let me know. I'm always asking people to subscribe. Maybe that's why. Maybe they don't like the music. I'm like, yeah, we'll see. Anyways, thanks for watching today. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for all your comments, all your information, all your support. Always love chatting with you guys about travel stuff. So thanks. Have a great rest of your day. Have a great weekend. And we will see you next Wednesday. Don't forget, we're starting an hour later, hopefully. on board the Holland America Zaandam. So hope to see you there. So that's a wrap. Where do we go? Here we go. Yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.